So see, this is going to be the first class on moles and stoichiometry. अच्छा remember वो past paper class, we're going to have a past paper class on acid basis salts, so फिर हम weekend पे फिर से start करते हैं. अच्छा, moles and stoichiometry, you've got हमने we learned how to make equations. Okay, now we're not really going to make equations, but we did balancing and stuff. So if you're given any equation, कोई भी equation दी हुई है ना, तो and let's pick some simple equation. Remember, chemistry is like all equations are like cooking recipes. You've got aluminium and oxygen, and they're reacting. Okay, and they are producing, let's say, aluminium oxide. Now, if I want to balance this, there are 3 oxygens, 2 oxygens. So what you need to do is, okay, I'm going to multiply this by 3, and I'm going to multiply this by 2. So oxygen, that's going to get balanced. And there are going to be 4 aluminiums. Now, what is happening is, okay, this is like a cooking recipe. Okay, it's ratios. It's what an equation tells you is that it tells you how to make something in the simplest ratio possible. Okay, so you've got 4 aluminiums. नबीरा एक सेकंड में आपका वो कर लेता हूँ आंसर. नहीं नबीरा, insoluble salt है तो वो why would it mix in water? Insoluble है ना, तो dissolve तो होगी नहीं. ठीक है. और एक सेकंड, आपका क्वेश्चन है लाइक वी वॉश इट बाय डिस्टिल, नहीं सॉरी, एक्सेस मेथड में तो आप वॉश नहीं करते सॉल्ट को, वो तो क्रिस्टल्स को आप ड्राई करते हो. वो जो आप बात कर रहे हो ना, दैट इज आयोनिक प्रेसिपिटेशन, जिसमें आप सॉल्ट को वॉश करते हो. एक्सेस में वॉश नहीं करना आपने. ठीक है, इज दिस क्लियर? तो चलो ठीक है, वापस इस पे आते हैं. तो मैं क्लास के एंड में एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ, ठीक है, फिर हम उस पर चले जाएंगे. मैं एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ क्लास के एंड पे, ठीक है. अच्छा, एनीवेज कमिंग बैक टू दिस, ये 4 एल्यूमिनियम प्लस 3, मैं कह रहा था कि all your equations are like cooking recipes, ठीक है. So you've got कि वो simplest ratio होता है. It tells you कि 4 aluminiums react with 3 oxygens and they produce 2 aluminium oxide. So if you have, अगर मैं double कर लूँ, if I have 8 aluminiums, तो दूसरी साइड पे क्या होगा? It's going to be, according to the ratio, it's going to be 6 oxygens that are required and it's going to produce 4 aluminium oxide. The ratio would remain exactly the same. The way I'm going to explain this is that for example, you want to make a car, right? Now, how do you make one car? Uh, you need some stuff that needs to be added together or put together. So there's going to be a recipe of making one car, right? That you need one engine, right? You would need 4 doors. You would need, let's say, 5 tires. मतलब एक वो spare tire होता है, there are 4 tires, right? And so on. So there's going to be a list of things that need to be put together, and then you make one car, right? So if I want to make 10 cars, so everything, the ratio would exactly be the same. Okay, for 10 tires, for one car, it's 5 tires. So for 10 cars, it's going to be 50 tires, right? For one car, you need 4 doors to go with it. Okay, so for 10 cars, you would need how many doors you would need? 10 times 4, that's 40 doors, right? And for one car, you need one engine. So for 10 cars, you need 10 engines, right? So the point is, whenever you make something or produce something, there's a recipe involved. And that recipe is going to have a certain ratio in which things are going to be added together. Okay, it's going to be your cooking recipe. And that ratio is extremely important. Okay, so, and that ratio, what your balanced equation tells you is, it tells you exactly that ratio. 4:3:2, right? So that tells you कि quantity जो मर्जी कर लो, the ratio would remain exactly the same. So if I use another equation, I've got, let's say I've got Na plus O2 and it's reacting to produce sodium oxide, which is, let's say sodium, Na is +1, oxygen is -2, so it's going to be Na2O. Now, I want to balance it. So 2 oxygens and there's going to be 4 sodiums, right? So the ratio in which the things are going to be mixed is okay, 4 sodiums and there's going to be 1 O2 and there's going to be 2 sodium oxides that are going to be produced. Okay, in this. So that's the simplest ratio. So what if I want to make 200 molecules of sodium oxide? So according to the ratio, what is the amount of oxygen that would be required? So 2 is made from 1, right? So if I want to make 200, I would need X and I'm going to cross multiply. And if I cross multiply, I will get वो सारी ratio unitary method, right? It's going to be 2x into times 200, x would become 100. So that means, well, obviously 2:1 is 200:100, right? And if I want to figure out what is the amount of sodium that would be required to make 200 sodium oxides. So what is it? It's 2:4. So double हो गया ना, 2 बनाने तो 4 चाहिए होंगे. So 200 would be, you would require 400 sodiums, ठीक है? तो एक तो ये पहले briefly ना कि that's the amount of stuff that would be required, okay? So the equation simply tells you the ratio in which things would be needed, okay? Is this clear to everyone? ये भी हम बाद में इस पे हम further काम करेंगे, लेकिन basic idea, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, now moving on. Up the first thing, the first very basic thing. The first very basic thing is counting, it's about counting the oxygen molecules. Okay, we can have 1 oxygen molecule, right? We can have 100 oxygen molecules as well. We can have 2,000 oxygen molecules. We can have 2 million oxygen molecules as well. Now, the first very, very basic thing is to learn how to count atoms. So how do we count atoms or molecules or electrons or anything that's used in chemistry? So that's the first very basic thing, counting. How do we count things? Now, remember, counting has units. Everything has a particular unit in which it is counted. Everything. And your unit keeps changing. You're counting small things, right? So small numbers, they have different units. You have large numbers and they are going to have different units to go along. Okay, so remember, you've got small numbers, and you're going to have large numbers, and the unit is going to keep changing. So for example, I want to count 72, that's the number, right? So there's a unit for counting that, and that is a dozen, right? What is 72 in dozens? That's, I think that's 6 dozen, right? So a lot of times for small numbers, you use the unit which is dozen, and you use that to count it, right? That's it. So you might have a slightly bigger number. So you might have 400, but a number to 400 but no one says communication when no one says, but you've never heard anyone say, I need 400. Okay, what they do is they convert it into a unit which is 100. So this is equal to 4. But उसे 4 कहते हैं. ठीक है, so they just say 400. ठीक है. So 100 is a unit. अच्छा, similarly, they might have an even bigger number. You're counting things, ठीक है, your counting is becoming bigger. So let's say you're counting cars in a parking lot, and now the number is this thing, 4000, ठीक है. So no one says 4000. No one even says that this is 40/100. मतलब वो इसको 40/100 नहीं कहते. No one says that. What they do is they change the unit. They call it 4,000, right? So the point is that as your counting increases, the unit continues to change. ठीक है, number और बढ़ जाता है 50,000. ठीक है, अच्छा no one says 5000. They say 50,000. अच्छा इसमें the unit did not change. अच्छा then all of a sudden let's say you go to this number. So you don't say that this number is 2,000,000. What you say this is 2 million. ठीक है, तो million is what? It's basically 10 power 6. 1,000 is what? It's 10 power 3, right? 100 is what? It's 10 power 2. Doesn't go to छोड़ ही देते हैं. I said, but anyways, I hope the point is clear that the unit for counting continues to change. And the reason that you use these units is कि बोलना आसान है, ठीक है? It's मतलब किसी को ये बताना 2 है, फिर उसके बाद 3 0 है, उसके बाद फिर 3 0 है. That is kind of difficult. 2 million, that's easy. Saying 2,000,000, that's also kind of confusing. So 2 million is kind of easy. So that is why we keep changing the unit. अच्छा, and the unit becomes bigger and bigger. So the biggest number क्या होता है normally that you deal with? I think that's a billion. Okay, so this is what? It's 2 billion. It's 10/9. ठीक है, trillion भी होता है, मतलब stars counting galaxies etc. You go to trillions as well, but trillion is normally not a number that you use in everyday life. अच्छा, now the trouble is कि अब उस पे आ जाते हैं कि in chemistry you don't use any of those units. In chemistry you have another unit, and that unit is a mole. Okay, in chemistry the unit is a mole. It's not a billion, it's not a million, it's not 1,000, it's not 100, it's not a dozen. You don't count atoms in billions or millions or thousands or trillions. You count them in moles. And what a mole is, it's 6.02 times 10 power 23. So what a mole is, it's basically 6. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay, so this is the size of the number what 1 mole represents. But 1,000 is a very small number. A mole is probably the biggest everyday number that's used in everyday counting. It's a lot bigger than a billion. Okay. So atoms are counted in moles. They're not counted in billions. They're not counted in millions. And the reason atoms are counted in moles is कि atoms होते बहुत ज़्यादा है, ठीक है? I mean, imagine like you're counting the human population, right? That is counted in billions, like 7, 8 billion, right? But imagine every human has so many atoms. So the amount of atoms that you have, that's huge. Okay? So even a small pen is going to have a huge number of atoms. So when you're counting atoms, they are counted in moles. And this is just 1 mole. This is equal to 1 mole. Okay? So a 1 mole is not a huge quantity of atoms. So atoms and molecules are in very, very large numbers. Even a small droplet of water has, I think it has close to a mole of atoms. मतलब थोड़ा सा पानी होगा ना, small amount of water, a very tiny amount of water, that will have these many molecules of water molecules. Okay, so the point is, so they're in very large numbers. Imagine करो कि Earth के अंदर कितने moles होंगे, ठीक है? The universe has how many atoms? So that's a huge, huge number. It's way bigger than the number of stars that you have. Okay, so all your atoms and molecules are going to be counted in moles, and all the other units are not fit to count atoms. ठीक है, जैसा आप unit change करते रहते हो ना, so for counting atoms and molecules, You simply change the unit and you go into moles. You get the basic idea clear? Is this clear that what a mole is? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
तो अगर अंडे खरीदने जा रहे हो तो आप किस में काउंट करते हो? डजन्स में. अगर मॉलिक्यूल्स खरीदने जा रहे हो या तो यू विल काउंट देम इन मोल्स. ठीक है, थोड़े से मतलब एक एक एप्पल भी खरीदोगे ना, उसके अंदर कोई 20-30 मोल्स हो गए. इट्स गोइंग टू बी, इसको 20-30 टाइम्स कर लो, इतने एटम्स होंगे. अच्छा, but anyway, so atoms are going to be counted in moles. You're going to have 1 mole of sodium, you're going to have 2 moles of sodium, 2.8 moles of sodium, you get 5 moles of sodium. Now, the very first thing is, how do you convert to unit? That's easy. Uh, that's very easy. For example, how to, so the conversion is like any other conversion. So how to convert any number into a particular unit? And that is simple. What do you do? You divide by the unit. For example, I have got 36. Let's say 36x. Now I want to convert it into dozens. What do? I take 36, divide by 12, and it's going to be 3 dozens, right? So that's easy conversion. You want to convert a number into unit, just divide it by the unit. I want to convert this number into hundreds. So how do I do that? I take that number and divide it by 100. So कितने hundreds हो गए? That's obviously 600. As I've got, let's say 200,000 क्या होगा? Let's say rupees, right? I want to convert that into thousands. So I want to convert that into thousands. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take that number and I'm going to divide that by 1000. So कितने thousand हो गए? That's 200. That's 200,000, right? So, so the conversion is pretty simple. You want to convert a number into a particular unit, you just divide it by the unit. ठीक है, ये भी clear है? Is this clear?
Yes.
Yeah, is this clear? But ठीक है. So the first formula for moles is, that is, if you want to convert a number into moles and you want them to be converted into a particular unit, right? All you have to do is take that number and divide it by the unit, which is the mole. What is the mole? It's 6.02 times 10 power 23. मतलब यही था ना मोल, कि हमने क्या किया था? हमने मतलब, we know what 100 is, we know what a million is, we know what a billion is. And what's a mole? It's this number, 6.02 times 10 power 23. So standard form is 6.02 times 10 power 23. So if I want to convert a number into a particular unit, which is moles in this case, so I'm going to take that number and I'm going to divide it by 6.02 times 10 power 23, and I get this. Okay? So that will give me the value in moles. As a mole की definition, like the mole is what? What is a mole? Simply, we just did that. It's the number or the number of particles equal to. Now, what is a dozen? It's the number of particles that are equal to 12. What is a mole? It's the number of particles that's equal to 6.02 times 10 power 23. And number of particles means that you can count anything. It could be the number of chairs, it could be the number of tables, it could be the number of cars, it could be the number of atoms. Moles में it's normally the number of atoms because you're never going to count cars in moles. So you're never going to count cars in billions or millions. You're going to count them in atoms are always going to be counted in moles. And this number has a name as well, which is the Avogadro's constant. Okay, so they have a name of this number as well. So it's known as the Avogadro's constant. So, okay, so is this clear? Okay, how to convert any number into moles? How to convert any number into dozens divided by dozen? How to convert any number into moles divided by what a mole is? 6.02 times 10 power 23. ये clear है सारों को शांत से Tapira?
Yes.
Is this clear? So ठीक है. That's a mole. So that is what a mole is. Now we're going to use how to do the conversion. Okay, so we're going to do a small exercise converting the number into moles. इसमें मेरे पास वो है कैलकुलेटर एक सेकंड कैलकुलेटर में निकालूंगा इसमें अच्छा convert number into moles. So I've got 10 into 10 to the power 21 atoms of. Actually, remember, if you have a very large number, it's normally written in standard form. मतलब ये number जो है ना ये आप time लगेगा इसको लिखने में ना ठीक है. No one writes a big number. What they do is they convert it into standard form. ठीक है. This is what it's 10 power 9. So normally your calculator would also give you when you do this on your calculator, the calculator is not going to write this number. It's going to show 10 power 9. So make sure you remember that it makes no difference absolutely whether you write this or you write this. They're both exactly the same thing. So it doesn't really matter whether you're okay, obviously remember this is not math. They're not giving you marks for converting to standard form uh, or not. Okay, so there's no marks for conversion. But normally big numbers are written in standard form. As I so 10 into 10 to the power 21 molecules of CO2. So that's a huge number of molecules of CO2 that I have. I want to convert into moles. So okay, simply just take that number and divide by what a mole is. So I'm going to take this number and I'm going to divide it by 6.02 times 10 power 23. And make sure when you do this on your calculator, put brackets around it. So can somebody do this on your calculator because I don't have a calculator. लेकिन make sure कि calculator में you put brackets. Let me try and do this calculator. Ahmed Zarar को ये कर लेगी. What do you get? Nabila, Hia, can you do this?
Yes, sir, 1 minute.
0.0166.
Second, somebody confirm this as well. 0.01.
0.066. 661.
0.0166? ये है या कोई और है?
So 0.01661.
अच्छा, anyway, so you पूरा बताओ 661 and what is after that?
1
One,
11 29568.
So it's going on, right? So make sure you remember this. Always round to 3 significant figures. I mean, because numbers where you'll a lot of times you'll be getting these trailing decimals. So always round to 3 significant figures. What is 3 significant figures? Okay, it's the first number, the second number, and then you round to the third number. Okay, the third number, whatever. So remember that there's a difference between significant figures and decimal places. Decimal places is that this is the fourth decimal place, and this is the first, second, third, and fourth, right? So remember, you're not going to round numbers according to decimal places. You're going to round numbers according to significant figures. The first number, the second number, round the third number. So 6 किस पे round होगा? Because it's 1 after that, so it's going to remain 6, right? So this number would be 0.0166 moles. Okay, so make sure you follow this habit. Always round numbers to 3 significant figures. Is that clear?
G.
Three significant figures. And so that's converting into moles. 3 significant figures. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, the question number 1. Okay, let's do another question. Question number 2. What if I have 6 times 10 power 24 atoms of sodium? So how many moles is that? So mole में convert करना, I'm going to take 6 times 10 power 24. And I'm going to divide that by what a mole is, which is 6.02 times 10 power 23. So what do we get? How many moles do we get?
Nine point nine six seven.
We're getting 9.967.
6-7.
उसके आगे क्या है?
सर 9.96677 है ना, तो 9.67 बनेगा, 9.967
9
बनेगा, 66
966
777 777.
So ठीक है. अब बताओ, what is 3 significant figures? 3 significant figures is the first one, second one, round the third one. Okay, so it's going to be 9.97, right? Here are not 3 decimal places, 3 significant figures. The first number, the second number, round the third one. So the decimal जहाँ मर्जी आ रहा है, we don't care where the decimal is. The first number, the second number, the third, round the third one. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So question number 3. So I have 4 times 10 power 18 molecules of O2. So how many moles is this? क्या होगा 4 times 10 power? Remember, make sure you use brackets. ठीक है? Calculator gets very confused when we're not putting brackets. ठीक है? 6.02 times 10 power 23. Put a bracket. So what do we get? How many moles is this?
सर मेरा आ रहा है 0.0000664452.
नहीं, कितने 0 0.000?
0 पॉइंट के बाद 5 zeros.
उसके बाद क्या?
6644 और 52.
कैलकुलेटर ने नंबर इसी तरह दिया था या कोई और फॉर्म में दिया था?
सर इसी तरह लिखा हुआ था.
तो ठीक है, अगर इस तरह लिखा हो इस तरह, लेकिन किसी और ने, did somebody else try this? Normally the calculator is not going to give the number in this form. It's going to give this number in standard form. Yeah, किसी और ने, did anyone else try this? It's standard form. And what is the number in standard form? Well, most calculators would give this as 6.64452, etc. into 10 to the power. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, minus 6, I think. Minus 6, Most calculators would write this number in this form. Both forms are fine. There's nothing wrong with them. अच्छा, लेकिन round करके क्या होगा? What would be, rounding would be done. Three significant figures. The first one, the second one, round on the third one. Okay, so if you want to write it this way, it's going to be 0.00000 664 moles. Even if it's the other way, if the calculator gave you in standard form, the first number, the second number, round on the third one. So it's going to be 6.64 times 10 power minus 6 moles. I mean, both are exactly the same. One of them is in standard form. The other one is in the actual, it's the actual complete written number. Okay. So is this thing clear?
Yes, sir.
मैं बस वो clear करता. What is standard form? Standard form is, you don't care where the decimal is. The first number, the second number, round the third one. ठीक है, उससे आगे लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है. Whether it's written in the standard form, the first number, the second number, round the third one. That's it. We don't care where the decimal is. So, anyways, that's one way you found moles. I said the reverse of this. If you want to find the number, तो क्या करना है? You take moles and multiply it by the Avogadro's constant. जिसका वो dozen वाला है ना कि वापस अगर जाना है. If you're given 3 dozens, now you want to find the actual number. What do? You multiply it by 12. 600, you want to find the actual number. You multiply 6 by 100, right? 200,000, you want to go back to the actual number. 200 multiplied by whatever 1,000 is, which is 1000, right? So if you want to go back, you do the reverse, which is, if you want to find the number, you multiply moles by the Avogadro's number. So we're going to do just one exercise on that, which is that so convert moles back to number of particles or the number. So if somebody says he's got 0.12 moles of aluminium atoms, right? So what's the actual number of atoms? So the actual number would be, you take the moles and now you do the reverse, which is multiplied by 6.02 times 10.23. So ये मुझे बताओ, what do you get for this? What are we getting? क्या किसी ने किया? अहमद जल्दी बताओ, ये आप, the rest. What are we getting for this?
Yes, sir. Sir, 77,240,000,000.
Oh, नहीं, standard form. It's going to be in standard form.
10 or power 2.
Yeah.
7.224 times
अच्छा.
10
7.224. मैं 2 पे
times
छोड़ दूंगा. 3 same figures times 10 power
22. 22.
22. Okay, so you're getting 10 power 22. Okay, so that's the actual number. So the first formula, we did the first formula, okay, today, which is this one, which is that you've got moles, number, and Avogadro. Okay, it's exactly the same. Every conversion you want to convert a number into dozens. If you ever forget the formula, just think of how would you convert a number into dozens. You want to convert a number into dozen, you divide by dozen. You convert a number into moles, you divide the number by what a mole is. You want to go back, so you want to go back from dozens and back to the number, you multiply it by what a dozen is, which is 12. Either way we can. You want to go back, you want to find the actual number, you take the moles and multiply it back by the Avogadro's constant. ठीक है? और ये idea भी clear कर लो कि because atoms are so many that you can't really count atoms in billions. ठीक है? Same reason. Why don't you count stars in hundreds? Because there's so many stars in the universe, right? So which is why you count stars in billions, because that's going to be a much bigger number. So you need another unit to represent a much bigger number. And the same is the problem with moles, okay? Because the atoms are so many, they're so huge in numbers that you want a different unit. You need a much bigger unit. Okay. So वरना mole or dozen में ना, there's absolutely no difference. That's exactly the same thing. That's for counting small numbers. This is for counting really big numbers. And remember this, okay, from now on, all counting would be done in moles. You're going to have 2 moles of atoms, you're going to have 3 moles of atoms, you're going to have 20 moles of atoms. No one would use the actual number. But in the real world, maybe no one uses the actual number. Okay? They always convert the number into, मतलब कोई भी जाके ये नहीं कहता 2000 फिर 000. मतलब you never say someone saying that, right? What do? They always convert it into a particular unit, right? So इसलिए no one, especially when you're counting atoms, people will say 0.12 moles. They're not going to say 7.22 times 10 power 22. Okay, it takes a lot longer to say that. So they'll say, give me मेरे पास इतने moles है. Okay, they're not going to use the actual number. Okay. So chalo, okay, we'll continue next time on hopefully on Sunday. I'll send a message in the group on Sunday on when the class would be for past papers for acid basis salts. Okay. Okay, everyone.
Allah Hafiz.
Okay, love this.